Well, hello.
Good evening.
I thought you didn't trust it then. I was like, hello. You're like,
Silent. Choke.
joke, stress.
In the title, Stress, the ultimate life destroyer, and thinking, you know what? It's not only the ultimate life destroyer, it's the silent destroyer.
It really is. I don't think, like, we all know about how not being horrible being stressed is
Mm.
in the moment. You know, your heart rate's going, your blood pressure, you're sweating. It's just you can't think straight. I don't think we really understand what happens to the body when you experience it for a long period of time,
Yeah.
when it is a constant uh,
It's like
feature in your life.
it's like this ongoing storm just battering the internal systems.
Beautiful. So
But
beautifully put.
because I've witnessed it so much, working around neurodivergent people and seeing that they're in this kind of highly stressed state as a norm. It's just their normal being. And like you say, it's not obvious. It's not kind of that kind of stress. It's just like a kind certain level of manicness that's so normal to them that that's just how they operate.
Yeah, definitely. When that feeling of stress leaves, it's almost so unfamiliar that you're like,
Looking for something to be stressed over.
it's a real strange thing. And it's not just psychological, it's physiological, it's physical.
Mhm.
Stress will take many years off your life, way longer than I mean, doctors are probably going to come for me, and I'm not backing this up with necessarily any research, but I believe stress will kill you much quicker than cigarettes.
Yeah, I mean, because stress, it's like you internalize it, you're holding that trauma in your muscles, it affects you everywhere, all over your body.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's I think what I meant by it being a silent killer, in the sense that it's just in the background and it's normalized, and
Yeah.
your blood pressure could be high and you won't even know it.
We've got this society that a lot of people are kind of pushing, like, well, if you're not stressed, you're not doing it right. You know, like life's hard, get on with it. And it's like that almost having it like okayed
Mm.
in Western society, like stress is just means you're succeeding, you're working hard, get on with it. If you're not stressed, you're lazy, you're not doing enough. And it's like,
Yeah.
do you remember? I don't know if you've ever watched this episode of Yes Theory. I like Yes Theory because it brought us together.
Yeah, I love
But they went to an island that's got the longest living people on it, and they're drinking red
I
wine
think I
from
saw
early in the
that.
morning. Like, there's people that are so old that generally you'd see here within hospice care are out there like tending to crops, like
Mm.
cooking dinner, chilling with the family, playing with young people, and they're like in the gone 100 years old, and the key is no stress.
Yeah, someone was telling me, cannot remember who it was right now, about the oldest man that currently lives in Stockport or somewhere in Britain.
Well,
Um, they said that their secret to living so long was fish and chips every Friday. I was like, well, it's fish and chips the answer then. But they said, no, the being relaxed and enjoying yourself and a little bit of what you fancy when you fancy it and
yeah.
not being too stressed out. That is the secret.
100%. Did you see what you did there with the relationship? There was a correlation, not a causation.
Ah,
Which brings me, before we get on to stress,
something that stressed us both out.
I mean, on top of all the stress that you generally feel in life, a celebrity with a platform comes along and just spouts utter BS. And you're like, hold on a second, you're getting paid, you're getting brand deals, you're getting people to pay a lot of money for your app.
You've got nothing to do with ADHD, and yet you feel the need to.
Oh God, yeah, it was awful. So if anyone didn't catch Joe Wicks, first of all, saying that it's a result, ADHD is a result of
Processed
ultra
foods.
processed foods, saturated fats, blah blah blah. Look, we all know those kinds of foods, sugary
Yeah,
foods, it's not good for anyone. But to be spreading that it
pauses.
causes ADHD, hyperactivity. I think a lot of people misunderstand, which is fine, great to misunderstand. But this is why we're here to put it to you.
Yeah.
An increase in energy, energetic, is not hyperactivity. You become more energetic when you are experiencing hyperactivity, but they are two different brain states. I think a lot of people are like, oh, well, it made them run around a lot more and shout a lot more. Yeah, because sugar increases activity,
Yeah,
energy.
energy,
It is glucose. Hyperactivity is very different. It does not require sugar to run on. If you've got ADHD children, you know this.
I mean, I'm saying in my 20s, before I understood I was ADHD, my hyperactivity is uncomfortable because I'd get so like it'd be like this feeling in my stomach. It'd be like a churning kind of feeling. It's very close to anxiety or fear. It feels very similar on the inside, but I'd know it was excitement and hyperactivity. But like it'd be so hard to cope.
Definitely.
I think that's probably why I turned to alcohol a lot because I knew that would help release the feeling a little bit.
Definitely. I think you can relate it a lot more to stress, can't you, than like energy and like I can
Yeah.
like stress wouldn't help me complete a marathon. Like, do you know what I mean? It wouldn't give me the energy I need to do that. And so yeah,
I think you raised a really good point though when you put the post out to address the comments that were made, which was if you're ADHD, you're much more likely to turn to processed foods, sugary foods.
for a multiple
Yeah.
reason.
So it's almost like there is a link between ADHD and processed foods, but that's not the link.
The fact there's a link, and a lot of research papers will assume that you don't understand the difference and will use this to be able to sell you a product or to be able to show you like, oh, this thing is safe, this is okay, or this isn't safe, whatever they're trying to sell you the idea on. A correlation is a relationship, but it is not a causation. The example that I used in the post, if you've not seen it, is that when it's very hot outside, you sell more ice creams. What happens as well as when it's really hot is that you have more crime. What Joe has effectively done is said that rising ice cream sales causes more crime. He's seen the relationship. He's not realized that it is a correlation, not a causation. There is a third party there that between both of them that are both ignoring. And I'm done with these. Like I said, I give passes to people that don't understand scientific theory.
Research,
Completely fine. This man has a BSc. I have a BSc. Bachelor of Science means you had to undertake a certain level of research, meaning qualitative, quantitative, how to conduct it, how to analyze it. And they would have had to have created his own research in some way and conducted it and got the results and analyzed it himself after. So he knows this is a very correlation in that's like GCSE level science.
The thing that I can because at first when somebody brought it to my attention, I think it was Leanne commented saying, oh, are you going to be talking about the Joe Wicks thing on your podcast? So I hadn't even actually seen the headlines at that point. And at first I thought if what he'd been saying is that people are misdiagnosed with ADHD, then fair enough. I see that happen in the industry. Like I do see a certain amount of parents blaming their kids' bad behavior on ADHD when it's not that. So it's like that's a comment that I could get behind, but saying that ADHD is caused by those foods or whatever, that isn't. So it's
I think a chronic problem right now is that I would much rather you get misdiagnosed with ADHD and at the most you get a little bit more attention and a bit more care into your learning or whatever than it get completely missed. You just get given SSRIs or a bipolar diagnosis and some antipsychotics that you really didn't need.
I mean, sorry, go on.
No, that's it.
On my story this week, I don't know if you saw it, but I shared something to do with it was undiagnosed ADHD and the link with the prison population, and it's so heartbreaking. It is literally so heartbreaking, and it's like if ADHD isn't addressed, and even when it is addressed, if it's not addressed properly, you're much more likely to turn to criminality. And then when you're in prison, they look at this population and they're much more likely to have addictions, to have personality disorders. And you just think this is what we're trying to break that cycle of. We're not trying to blame ADHD for people's poor behavior.
Exactly.
We're trying to get to the root cause of it so that people don't end up in that position in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much more going on. And I understand it's quite annoying when you're going through Facebook or Instagram, you're like, God, everyone's got ADHD these days. It might feel like
No,
that.
we're just all the ones on social media. want ADHD. I'm not interested in the dopamine slot machine that is social media.
I know what you mean. I said to Mum, like, do you ever get posts like? She's like, no, just Candy Crush. And you're like, okay, yeah. Your algorithm is a little different.
Coming back to awareness, raising awareness, the importance of it. We've had somebody comment, if you're watching, Mark, a Photo G, shout out, that they have found these episodes really helpful because in their community, there isn't the understanding of autism. So they're finding what we're talking about a real support and a real relief because they're realizing they're not alone. And I think that's the thing to remember, that some people are surrounded by ADHD and they feel like it's everywhere. But some people really do feel totally isolated, not with any genuine information that's actually helpful.
Yep.
So, you know, I can't quite remember my point or why I brought that up.
Well, I have a good way of finishing it off.
Excellent.
It basically pinpoints why we do the work that we do, because misinformation, is the link to everything that is going wrong. And it's just like, I refuse to let someone with such a huge platform just go on unaddressed, just making statements that will damage the community further. Because if you've got a parent that's like, well, you just need to not be eating McDonald's and you just need to be eating, you know, your balanced diet, and well, why are you still not better? It's victim blaming.
Yeah. And it's kind of like us sitting here as we're like the experts in neurodiversity and, you know, the neuro side of things, psychology and teaching and things. And he's obviously the body expert, the body coach.
Yeah.
It's like us sitting there and going, well, actually, exercise is really bad for you when you're young, and not backing it up and just kind of grasping on a few things we might have heard that might have a bit of
imagine if
linking them.
If I sat here and was said exercising is great, but really the amount that you spend exercising doesn't add anywhere near that amount onto your life, so it's a waste of time. With no backing that up, sounds nice, doesn't it? The way I've just said it. Some people are going, wait, how often do I spend on a treadmill? How often am I? Like, does it? I don't know. I've got nothing to back it
you're
up.
Spending an hour every single day, but that won't add that back onto your life. So actually, you're wasting time.
Wasting double time.
And that's the thing, don't listen to us. We're not the experts on exercise and we're not gonna kind of pretend to be. So that's the point there.
And my problem is, before this, and I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of excited because Joe Wicks, you are my pathological demand avoidance problem when it comes to exercise. Your face popped up one year and it didn't go away. It was everywhere. And then comes my birthday, someone got me a recipe book. I've got it at home. It's the most basic thing in the world. It annoys me. And your face is in my kitchen daily. And for some reason, I've just been like, this guy's such a nice guy, but I don't get it. And then COVID came and he started doing PE lessons inside. And I was like, yo, what a king. He's giving free PE lessons. And I was like, you know what a boy. I'm going to try one. And all I saw was that he had his trainers on in his living room. It messed up the whole thing. I'm like, psychopath.
Yeah. You relax shoes.
I'm not the whole thing. I'm just like, there's gotta be neurodivergent people watching this everywhere being like, I can't handle this. This is just like, what do you mean? He's like running in it. You can see all the brand new carpet. I get that it was all made to look like this to be pretty, and it's not like his main living room and stuff. And it was fresh trainers. It's still like, it was off-putting. And when this came to me, I was just like, I knew I couldn't trust you. But no personal attack to Joe. I'm sure he's a great guy and he does great things when it comes to, you know, encouraging us to move. And like I said, we'll all benefit. Do not spread that it is resulting in ADHD and making my symptoms worse.
That's the trouble, isn't it? It's like you could have just left it as we shouldn't be. Ultra processed foods are a problem. Full stop. They are. It's not. Yeah. But ADHD isn't the cause of that. Like your problem. So
100%.
There we go.
Thing on that as well. I understand that this won't be a generalized thing to a lot of people, but I'm seeing more and more a lot of people giving their kids multivitamins. You may have a child that does very much lack in certain supplements, certain things that they need to be able to survive, but the general child, especially an ADHD child, this multivitamin culture is a little bit strange. You should be able to get all of this from food. And like I said, there's exceptions, people that can't absorb certain stuff from their diet. Yeah. That's when the vitamins are needed. Yeah, definitely. When you've got ARFIDs, different things that stop you, then these supplements are great. I would strongly recommend to every parent to try and get these nutrients in your children through the normal food routine, because it
Yeah.
is the best way that they can absorb them.
Mm-hmm.
Giving yourself multivitamins or vitamins that you already produce a little bit, it just gives you a very expensive wee. That's all it's doing. So yeah, vegetables and the stuff that you get it from is way cheaper as well, by the way, than actual. So yeah, obviously if you need them, I'm not saying don't, but
Yeah, but
you know
don't
what I'm
fall
getting.
for that trending thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, well, I suppose we ought to shout out our patron of the week and then get stuck into this topic because we've both got loads to say on it and I want it to be really valuable.
Imagine us at the end being too stressed, we need to get it out. Go, quick.
Yeah,
No, I want to talk now.
it's only because though, and again, this comes down to tackling stress, is working out why do I feel stressed? I feel stressed because I want to add value through this podcast.
Challenging it in the moment and doing
Yeah.
it correctly in the moment. I know
Yeah.
what you mean. Who caught my stress moment last week? Let me talk.
Oh,
You're like,
yeah, Kat was looking at her knittings, didn't realise, but you know, we're your mates and we're not going to then respond by going mad at you. It's like we just giggle about it, like, you know, we're neurodivergent. That happens.
yeah.
So.
It's a huge part of me getting to, I don't know if it's just age or just understanding your mind better, but I spent so much of my childhood not being able to communicate, not being able to like fully get what I want, and finding friends that you can lose your shit with a little bit because you're not fully disrespectful.
And then against you.
Yeah. And mates that you can be like, this is boring. Like in a nicer way. Like my brain is not being like, definitely. Because I'd want friends that came to me and just be like, look, you sound really passionate. I'm not even taking it in. You know, that saved me sometimes. There's nothing worse than going like all in the story and then you're like, do you know what I mean? The other person goes, huh? What were you saying, Sarah? And you're like, so yeah, I get yourself some mates that understand. I really appreciate you. So I apologize for my
like I was busy looking at her. I didn't even realise. And even if I was looking at it, I probably wouldn't have realised. Being aware.
I'm gonna make it a clip because I'm pretty sure in that same episode I'm talking about like your reactions to things and emotional regulation. It just got to be like talk.
Because we are fine examples
Yes.
of all the things that we talk about.
We are fine examples.
We're definitely not that kind of doctor that's sitting behind a desk or person that doesn't understand what they're talking about, if you see what I mean. And I think that is what makes it work.
Oh god, yeah. If you think a qualification in psychology made me fix my problems, there is before awareness and after awareness. And the constant between them is that I can't really control that much what comes out of me, but I can take responsibility and try and navigate it better.
So stress is going to be our topic, but every week we shout out a Patreon. I'm saying that correctly nearly every single time now.
So proud.
And our Patreon of this week is the amazing Gem,
Gem,
who we absolutely adore. She's featured on some of my TikTok. Yeah. She's featured on some of my TikTok. She's absolutely wicked little character. And yeah, if you want to hear your name shouted out on one of our shows, please head over to Patreon, A Different Human Design, and pledge to us. We've got options from £1 right the way up to £25. But the £1 pledge will get you a shout out and it will get you entered into our monthly prize draw. So next week will be our second prize draw of the year.
Oh, I wonder what the prize is going to be.
Yeah,
So exciting. If you're in the £5 tier, by the way, I've got a little example of what you could get. So, in the £5 tier, you get a custom print. This will be different every month, protected in a nice little cellophane plastic thing. You get an original print from me. You also get, within here, is April's poem from Lindsay. It's a beautiful little, you can't see it, you can't see it. Don't pause that and just print it out yourself. This is worth a £5.
You know, remained non-focused, so that's good.
It's a secret. You got to pay for it. But also, these will be printed better. This is a very rush job. £1 entry to U Club. It is normally £6 to get in, or it's free on your first visit. But with this £5 tier, you're getting in for £1. That's genius. You can get free tea, coffee. You can do art for £1.
Loads of
basically losing money, not coming, not joining the Patreon. So yeah, I understand that not everyone can afford to be able to support us in that way. Whichever, any way you can imagine, any way you can support is perfect. Even if it's just a like and a subscribe right now, we'll give you some time to do it. I'll wait.
Yes. Do please subscribe. I can't wait till we hit 200 subscribers. We're slowly climbing.
Let's go.
Yes.
But yeah, shout out Jen, and yeah, thank you very much, guys.
Stress.
Can't avoid it any longer. In
So
real life and talking about it.
what's stress about then? Like, is there certain things, or do you find that you get stressed about a lot of things?
Do you know what? I was thinking about it yesterday, and at the start, I was like, I only get really stressed about a few things. After about 20 minutes of thinking about it, I had about 14 pages worth stuff that, and I had to start thinking like, wait, that just pisses me off. That's not really stress. And I'm like, wait, what is stress? Is it like frustrated? I'm realizing that stress is that manifestation of anxiety,
Yeah.
that internal fear of that triggered response. And yeah, it is quite a wide capture.
Yeah.
So anything from like driving, getting late, my own silly behavior, annoyed with myself, injustice.
This is to represent my love of justice, because yeah, injustices. Oh, trigger.
Seeing a very obvious solution and the people put in charge not doing anything about it, whether that's, you know, in a hospital, whether it's in government, whether it's just like within your own family, and you're like, look, it's that way. Stop, ignore that map that you can't read, it's that way, and everyone just ignoring you, like, okay, we'll take an hour trying to find the thing, but I'm pretty sure it was. That really annoys me. What gets you?
Well, you mentioned my two biggest ones, driving and time. To anything related around time. If somebody needs me to be somewhere for a certain time, guarantee I'll get stressed trying to get there for that time,
Is
or keep myself to that time limit.
that pressure, right? It's that feeling of, because sometimes, well, when it comes to time management, it's not you. You're often the people are relying on you, your respect and being there.
The expectation, and I'm not going to meet the expectation. But do you think there's like layers to stress in the sense, because again, I've been thinking about it all day as well, and in the sense that there's things that you're stressing about that are real,
Yep.
but then a lot of your stresses haven't even happened yet. Even when you're thinking, yeah, but what if I'm stressed I can't pay my bills? You know, I'm not earning enough money and I've got so much money coming out. That's a real stress. But it's still not actually happened yet. You're still imagining that you're not going to be able to make your bills that month. So it's kind of like
fantasy stress.
Yeah, and it's like, and like you say, stressed about world events or things unfolding, things that you can't change. It's really bizarre, isn't it? The concept of stress.
It's a bizarre one. Do you know what? I feel like a really good way is to just blast through this and see what you think. Because it basically just gives a brief outline. And you know, I like my PowerPoint.
Yes.
It's very basic.
Yes.
So, stress, what is it? Stress is the body's natural response to challenges or demands, whether they are physical, mental, or emotional. This is where these made up ones can be. It's a normal part of life, can be triggered by various factors such as work pressure, relationship issues, financial concerns. Oh, wait, I forgot to say that. When you're like, what stresses you out? I forgot to say money.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I've just mentioned the example that if you think you're not got enough money to cover your bills, you're stressing, but actually you're not even there yet, but you're stressing about it.
Not even there, though. Let me just be honest, though. It's probably me, so probably going to be struggling to pay me. You know, stuff has happened a lot in life, and you're like,
ADHD.
yeah, it's not necessarily like I'm a psychic. I'm like, this has just happened that often. Like, this, I'm about to order from Just Eat, and I don't think they're going to turn up because it happens. It's Just Eat. It's like one every 4 times. It's not even going to turn up. And I'm ready for it. So the body physically responds, stress trigger releases hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, which prepares the body for a fight or flight response. This can lead to increased heart rate, elevated blood pressure, tense muscles, and rapid breathing. In long term, chronic stress can weaken the immune system, increase the risk of heart disease, and contribute to other health problems. I mean, you can see if your body's physically responding to stress like this, the long-term effects are hitting all these different places too. It's your blood pressure, it's your
It's
it's your heart.
because it's so avoidable, isn't it? It's such a avoidable thing.
Your physical wounds heal quicker when you are not stressed.
Yeah.
And that to me is like that is a causation right there. You
Yeah.
can see there is a relationship. It is casual. Yeah.
Say that just thinking about something stressful can cause your body to react like this.
Yep.
And then because you then feel a physical reaction, it then makes you stress about the thing you're thinking about more.
Yeah.
So it's very,
Yeah.
very aware just to nip it in the bud and be aware of that that thing isn't a real threat, but just because you've thought about it, your body has responded as though it's a real threat.
It's weird, isn't it? Because your body and your brain is so clever.
Yeah, so
they're
primal.
total dumbasses, the pair of them.
Mm.
And it's like, I'm not actually got food in front of me. I'm just looking at the menu. Why are you preparing me to be eating right now?
And that's the thing, it's like, it's so clever, but it's kind of basic at the same time. And if you can learn to hack it.
Wait, is my nervous system a basic bitch? That makes sense. God, get some nuance to you. Get some.
Yeah, like differentiate between what's real and what's not. Like,
God, you're so uncool.
having 10 is not a threat to life.
Says who? What about 1,000?
Says my mind.
So in the mind, funnily enough. Psychologically, stress can manifest as anxiety, irritability, difficulty concentrating, and mood swings. Sounds like ADHD. It can also be exacerbated by existing mental health conditions such as depression, anxiety disorders. But it's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah, and it's so true that if you're already slightly stressed about something, everything else feels 10 times worse.
Definitely. The way that you react to the stressful situations in the moment as well has a huge impact on who you are as a person. You can see how your predisposition to manage stress. What happens when you're stressed for too long? We know about PTSD, etc. When the body is under prolonged stress, it can lead to chronic health issues such as hypertension, digestive programs, high blood pressure, yeah. Digestive problems, insomnia, and even depression or burnout. The constant activation of the body's stress response system without sufficient recovery can serious consequences, both physical and mental. Like we've just recovering from stress. It sounds like a weird thing, right? We all know about, I'm stressed, I need to just like chill out. How many of us then go for a drink?
Yeah, but the recovery, you see animals in the wild, when they've been in a fight or flight situation, they shake all over afterwards. That's them recovering from all of those chemicals that have been released in that stressful moment.
They don't go to the pub like, right, a Guinness, please.
I need...
Yeah, just a quick shake. On we go. Yeah, Taylor Swift that. So how to avoid limit stress? While it's impossible to completely eliminate it because life is stressful, there's no way about it, there are several strategies to manage and reduce it. These include practicing relaxation techniques like deep breathing or meditation. Shout out, Grace.
Remind myself to breathe. It's such a simple but good trick.
When you realize that you weren't breathing, you're like, hold on, I'm doing myself a disservice here. I need to breathe.
Steph saying, I'm so annoyed, I'm quite. And then I was like, take a deep breath, and I realized I wasn't breathing deeply, I was breathing shallow. And as soon as I started breathing a little more deeply, lo and behold, I felt better.
100%. Because when you're stressed and you're triggered, the decision making, the planning, the clever bit of your brain says bye bye, and it is purely just the hippocampus. And it's just purely like
instinct.
Who lives, who dies?
What do I need to do to survive this moment?
And dare someone try and help you in a way you don't need during that time. As well as breathing and meditation, healthy lifestyle, Joe Wicks, regular exercise, balanced nutrition, setting realistic goals, priorities. However, eating poorly does not cause stress. Just mentioned. Establishing boundaries, seeking social support, and learning to say no when necessary. How many people pleasers out there are stressed because you do it to yourself?
And again, I mean, I've got a few notes and things. I don't want to like sidetrack too much from the slides at the minute, but
feel free to add where you need.
That kind of awareness of why am I stressed and working backwards, and then you realize, don't you, sometimes, well, it's because I'm pushing myself to do something I didn't want to do, that I've not got time to do, that I've got the resources to do. Actually, I need to just say I can't do that, and then you feel so much better. And it's honoring your boundaries.
How much are you understanding your mood to be stress? Or are you just like, I'm just pissed off? Like I said earlier, I was trying to decide, You know, what is stress? It's actually quite a wide umbrella term.
Yeah.
And if you're just being like, oh, well, I'm just pissed off and I have the right to be, you're not dealing with that. Hold on.
Yeah, you're doing yourself a disservice by just living in that moment and not doing something about it.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it, with this whole like, you should just live in the here and now. And it's like, but also reflect. But also, and it's like, hold on, where do I live?
I purely because I can get really super stressed about the bus and work and finances and this, that, and the other. And then I think, hold on, none of that has
Yeah.
happened. What is happening right now? Nothing. Just enjoy this moment.
It's a very common form for anyone that's experiences anxiety. That is going to be, you're going to find that majority of things you worry about haven't happened and won't be happening for a little while.
Yeah, and it's like I'm reading a book at the minute, and I always find it bizarre how much I relate to the characters in the chick lit books that I read. Then it makes me realize that all authors must be neurodivergent, because how would they know to create these characters that are quite clearly neurodivergent in their nature? And this girl said she was super, super stressed, and then she was like, well, I'll be dead soon, and then at least I'll be at peace. And honest to God, that is something sometimes I tell myself where I'm like, Linz, however many months, years, whatever, you don't know, but one day you'll be dead and none of this will matter. And that shouldn't calm me down, but it does.
Just you explaining it to it, I'm like, hold on a sec. Cool. But I get it.
Out, but
Yeah.
Well,
I'm the same. I got that new lease of life finding out the next solar eclipse, total eclipse is going to be when I'm 98.
Yeah.
I'm like, gonna make it. All right. I've got a goal. Finally. Purpose.
And these things, all of these things that reduce stress, one of the other things I wrote down is it's a combination of doing lots of little things. Don't you find that you begin to manage stress easier? Like, it's not just, oh, okay, every day I'm going to set my intentions in the morning, then suddenly I'm going to be able to deal with stress, or I'm going to start eating 5 a day, and then I'm going to be able to deal with stress. But just bringing in new little practices here and there, overall, you become better at managing stress.
100%. I think the first, like the first step is awareness. What are your triggers? What areas do you, and then putting things in place for when those situations arise. You know, I know that I am get stressed when I'm in traffic. Is there something you can put on your sun visor or something that will help you to, you know, take 10 deep breaths?
Yeah.
Rather than having to rely on your triggered self to bring that kind of tool into the, which is very hard to do when you are triggered and you're new
You've
to.
gone into fight or flight. That's the trouble, isn't it? If you're operating from a fight or flight mode, then it's going to be a lot harder to reason with yourself.
Definitely. But we covered habits, I think, on the second episode. If you can put these things into practice and start getting it consistent for 90 days, it will come a lot more natural to you. I think it's hard to understand that when you first start trying to put these things in practice.
Don't try and do it all at once, because I've been exploring my spirituality a lot more and doing little rituals and things like that. And at first, it was kind of like I hadn't made a start on it because I wanted to do it all at once. I wanted to have the incense and the charged crystals and the witchy spells and the herbs and the incense oils. I wanted it all in one go. But then when I kind of chilled out and just started adding little bits, and if I forget about that bit, it's fine. I'll remember it and add it in, and eventually I feel like my life has changed overall, but it wasn't from one massive change. It was from lots of little steps.
Kind of like that whole, oh, I'll do it Monday, isn't it? Like, oh, hold on, why is Monday any better day than right now? And it's like, well, because I didn't get the shorts that I wanted or the running trainers. Like, don't worry about that. Let's do some
Just do it.
jumping jacks. I'm an exerciser. I'm an athlete. We do jumping jacks, right? So how can we best deal with stressful situations, and what are benefits to coping in a healthy way? When faced with a stressful situation, it's important to acknowledge and accept our feelings rather than trying to suppress them. Like you said, just being like, oh, I'm just angry, it's allowed. Like, I'm stuck in traffic, of course I'm mad. It doesn't, not everyone is.
Why are you mad? And then it's like, oh, because you're meant to be somewhere in 20 minutes. Well, why are you now in that situation? Because you didn't leave on time. And then you start to realize this isn't anybody else's fault, you know, and nobody's gonna like die if I don't get there in time type thing. So it's that,
Yeah.
like balancing it out. Yeah, it's annoying, but it's not that bad. But I can only deal with that stress better because of the other changes in my life. The fact that I am eating, I am being kinder to myself, and you know, so I'm not feeling as stressed because other like I'm being able to manage it with better, handle those
Yeah,
stressful situations.
100%. Yeah, we've already covered a lot of the healthy coping mechanisms on the page before, like, but problem solving is a fantastic skill that we, as ADHDers, are great at. And yeah,
Creative.
yeah, definitely. Like I said, like you find the sun visor, put in something that can just remind you to like get creative with it. Try and solve. It doesn't even necessarily have to be about the situation that you're in. Take a second out and do a Sudoku puzzle,
Yeah.
Sudoku, whatever it's called. Just
Just because
applying
you've
that.
learned how to.
I love them. I do them on hard now.
Nice.
It gives you like 8 numbers. I'm like, did it. Yeah, I love. And you called me out.
Week that you'd finally managed to tackle it, and by face it, you'd gone from being like, oh, I hate them, they're rubbish, to like, oh yeah, I know how to do it, and now I really enjoy it.
Put it off for so long because I thought it involved.
Yeah, like adding it up or something, it doesn't. Yeah, just, and that is a perfect example of how we do put things off because we think it's going to be harder than what it is, or we're not going to enjoy it, but actually we enjoy it when we do.
Yeah, 100%.
Seeking support from friends thing, we mentioned right at the start about how important it is to have the right friends.
Yes.
I think those
But yeah.
ADHDers especially can have attachments rather than relationships. And it's really important. I think it's took me to my mid-30s to start recognizing that I don't need these people in my life. They're not adding, and it's okay to let them go, kind of thing, because having the right people in your life is so, it just really helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, the reason we say find your tribe, because it is the group that is going to help you maintain who you are, best person that you can be. They hold you accountable, but they also celebrate you.
Yeah. And yeah, they allow your downfalls. None of us are perfect, but they don't like make you feel bad for them. They embrace them, you know. And even like the other week, me and Kat went for a walk and we just sat by this little river just chatting. Like, and it was so nice.
Shout out to those friends that you can do that with. And then like a bit of a silence happens and it's no one's thinking about the silence. You're
Yeah.
just walking or sat there, just not saying anything, but it's still comfortable.
Yeah.
Those are your peeps, and shout out to those. If you're one of those people to someone, shout out to you. You're a hero.
Yeah.
Good mate. Yeah, there's too many mates that will happily just do you over, I think, in this day and age. For more money or your man.
Obviously giving up drinking and realizing
Oh, yeah.
genuine friends who were just kind of good time friends, I used to call them. People that I'd see because I'd want a good time, like, or they'd be seeing me because they wanted to have a good time.
Yeah.
We're not actually giving or taking kind of thing and anything valuable. It's just oh, you'll do as an excuse to go to the pub.
Yeah, definitely. And how many of those friends are there when you're like, I'm not drinking at the moment. Actually, I'm feeling a little down. Does anyone want to go for a walk?
Yeah, that's the finding.
They're going to be like, yeah, bring a beer. So yeah, cope in a healthy way can reduce the negative impact of stress on both physical and mental well-being, improve resilience, and overall enhance quality of life. I think this idea of like, oh, try and make life as less stressful as possible isn't the way.
It's the improving resilience part.
Definitely.
Being able to, stressful situations are going to happen. It's being able to bounce back from them and get through them without feeling like you've burst a blood vessel.
100%. Life is, and it's getting harder. So the more resilience that we can build, and that comes from a young age, but it can still be adapted and grown, developed as you get older. I think
would you say that ADHD is more resilient?
I think it very much depends on how your ADHD was nurtured as a kid growing up. If you were taught that you had strengths and that you can deal with these things, you're a great problem solver, you're really creative, whatever, and those things get built up in you so that you've got that good sense of esteem of yourself. Yes, great resilience. If you're taught from a very young age that, come on, yeah, and now Joe's like, it's because you're not eating good. It's a bit like, God, really, I'm kind of useless, aren't I?
I feel like ADHDers have got the capacity to have fantastic resilience, but then, like you say, if they've been constantly
Yeah.
kind of blamed for their own things that we can't help, that we really can't help,
Yeah.
we're really, try and double it.
I think we get it modeled to us as well through our parents or our caregivers. How do they deal with stressful situations? I know my mum can be generally quite a calm person. As soon as she's mad, it is like a fuse, a really short fuse. That's the term,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
It'll just 1 to 100, bang. And
Yeah.
hey, that's me now. That's how I deal with stuff. But it's real. It's over. It's over with real quick as well. Like the most I will do is snap and be like, oh, and then I'll go back into myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always said that. Me and my brother always used to say that we'd got like this high rev reaction where we'd go from 0 to 100 super quick, but then we'd come back down super quick as well. So you can see me losing it, but then the next minute it's like I've never lost it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think me being able to be resilient for me is a different thing to me trying to be resilient for other people in their situation.
Yeah.
I've got way better, like, if I can remove my own personal situation from it, I'm like,
Yeah, because you're
Superwoman.
always like, say, you're always dead calm about it and like really good at helping me kind of navigate it.
I feel like it's vice versa though.
Mm.
I'm so thankful neither of us have ever been too stressed at the same time. To it, was that? You know what? Fucking pink hair. It looks really nice. Yeah, get some resilience.
Resilience is the key right here. It's building that resilience. It's almost like you when you start doing weight training, it makes you feel really weak, but you're actually doing it to make yourself stronger. So putting yourself out there and facing stressful situations, although it might feel uncomfortable, getting through them will then help with future
Oh God,
stressful
yeah.
situations.
There's that. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it's a Buddhist saying. Dalai Lama. I could be wrong. But he basically said to not wish for the load to be lighter, but for our backs to be stronger.
Oh,
Definitely.
yeah.
That's what we need. Did you just look at chat then?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Engrossed in what we're saying because it is a
Oh,
really
definitely.
valuable, we're doing an informative kind of but we would love to hear your, maybe no one knows how to handle the stress, and they're all just really waiting like, come on then, give us the gold.
Hurry up. This PowerPoint has no colour. God.
We are the colour.
So how is stress reported and measured? Have you ever gone to the doctor and said I'm stressed and they've measured it in any type of way?
No, I mean that's because I don't go to the doctors because they're scared to death in case they tell me something's wrong with me. But I'd rather just pretend that there's nothing wrong, and not go. But that's an interesting question because, in fact, I've got an analogy that I wanted to share.
Okay.
And it was to do with the stress bucket. I had this on my story as well this week.
I saw this. I didn't look much further
Yeah.
into it.
But it's that, and I've been telling my students this all week. When you wake up, think about, okay, I've got a bucket and my stress bucket. How big is it today? And how full is it already? And the point that I was going to make is that some people's capacity to handle stress is larger than other people's. And that doesn't mean that their stress is worse or less or more than yours. It's just that everybody's abilities are different and everybody is different.
Relative, right? To the individual.
So it's like imagining that you've got this bucket and then thinking how full of stress it already is, working out what things pour stress into your bucket, but also what things can you turn on the tap and release things from your bucket.
Right, yeah.
And it's just that awareness because it's making it visual of, okay, my bucket's getting full now. I need to take a moment out and do something to release some from this bucket. And I think some days I wake up and I've got like what are those?
Thimble.
Yeah, a thimble. Like that's
Oh,
all I've got. Swimming pool. So I think that awareness of what is my capacity for stress today, and what might pour into it, what is going to pour into it, what has poured into it, and what can I do to release it. I just really liked it as a visual.
Yeah, I think because we understand what it's like when you've got more on your plate and you're like, oh God, I'm definitely more. But that visual being able to see it, I really like that.
Yeah, but it's just because that how can stress be measured? If I said to you, oh, 1 to 10, how stressed do you feel? Your 9 might be very different to my 9.
100%.
Yeah,
definitely. So like
But it doesn't make your night any less or more like worse, or it's very personal as well, isn't it?
it's a very personal thing, and it's almost like you can't look at, and you can see the ways that I've shown the two main ways that this is looked at.
Yeah.
Just because one person has a certain situation happen in their life and you have a considered less stressful one doesn't necessarily mean that that person is allowed to be more stressed by a rule.
Or not weak,
Yeah.
because they might, like say, have a smaller plate for things to go on in the first place, or a smaller bucket to be able to handle the stress.
If you don't have a strong sense of resilience, then how you manage that bucket, less in that bucket, may be different to how someone manages quite a lot in that bucket, who's quite resilient, quite good at bouncing back or acting in the moment.
And different things. Like, I'm just thinking as well about me and my friends, and we're all on the spectrum, and yet a phone call, one of my friends doesn't mind, whereas I have a meltdown if somebody rings me, you know?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's just because I find it stressful and they don't, doesn't mean that there won't be another situation that they find stressful that I don't.
Yeah, 100%. We're all individual people and we experience things differently. But these measurements can provide insight into an individual's stress levels and help to tailor appropriate treatment. So the first one that we have is the social readjustment rating scale, and there's like, I can show you the full one, but these are basically here. You've got points next to each one. Oh God, go back.
There's the top 5 most stressful things as well, isn't there? Where it's divorce, death, moving house. I know that those 3 are in the top 5.
So,
Change of job, I think the other one.
These are the top. This is definitely the top of the list. If I bring it out of open in a new window.
Can I just say as well that something that's really common with ADHD, apparently, I saw some research on this a long time ago, is having a naturally low blood pressure. And I've got low blood pressure. So what they think is that I'm more of a thrill seeker because it takes more for me to feel my heart rate go up. And so I sensory seek more.
Okay, yeah.
And they also reckon low blood pressure is linked to criminality, and because you can sit in an interview room and keep your cool under pressure because you've already got a low blood pressure to begin with. But it's really interesting, isn't it? Because a lot of hypertension, high blood pressure is associated with ADHD, but so is low blood pressure. So I just think it's a really interesting one, because that would mean that, like, every time I've ever had my blood pressure taken when I was on contraception, you had to do it every 6 months. Every single time they used to go, "Is your blood pressure always this low?"
Mine are the opposite. I take a certain medication for anxiety called buspirone, and every time I go to somewhere to get they're like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yes." And it's just because no one's actually checking the medication. So, what medication are you on? And I'll go through it. They're like, "Oh, okay. Like, we thought you were dead, and not really sure why you're speaking." That's go in the medical books. So just look at my thing. But this scale is created by Holmes and Rahi. And it's basically in an event mentioned in the past year, you give yourself the score, you add it to yours. So with the most stressful situation, death of a spouse, going all the way down to a minor violation of the law. Christmas approaching,
that is
vacation. This mortgage loan less than 20,000. Obviously up here is going to be a little bit more than the 20,000 mortgage over. And basically this is just a way a doctor can be like, yo, what's happened in the last year? Let's look at your score. Because if you've had like 8 of these, Jesus Christ, like let's look at how you're dealing with that. Because if you're not dealing well, it's going to be really taking a toll on you.
And do you know what the really sad thing is? That I would say a high majority of my students that I'm trying to bang on about bloody English and maths qualification are sitting there in the classroom having experienced 3 or 4 family members have all died in the last 6 months. They've been changed where they live. They've had to change schools because they've come to us obviously away from their school. They're probably addicted to at least one drug or one kind of thing. So they've got an addiction. And it's like they've got all of this on their plate that could be dealt with. And instead, we're slamming on with a curriculum.
You want me to learn conjunctives?
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, this is just one way of doing it. It's argued that it doesn't really show much.
No, well, I was just looking, thinking, I've not got many of those going on, so what? Am I not stressed then?
That's what I mean. And you say about your students, maybe they've got like 4 or 5 of these top ones already going.
Yeah.
How many of the daily hassles and uplift scale? So this is a different scale developed by Kane et al. uh, and this basically looks at the small daily things that happen, and they might seem small, but
They fill your
they
bucket.
add up. So you've got your students, they've already experienced the big life events,
Yeah.
right? How often are they experiencing this before
Well,
they've
then,
even got to school?
yeah, they're all getting taxes. So I think they all find that pretty stressful by the time they.
Yeah. If you're the first one getting picked up, you've got to go around everyone. So you've got to be up much earlier. You're annoyed being just driven around.
And by a stranger. Which,
Yeah.
And they've probably already had some kind of conflict in the morning at home, and it was quite a chaotic lifestyle. Then when they get to school, quite often they've got at least one of us going, "You've got to get to lesson," or "Why are you doing that?" You know, so it's like instant.
Yeah.
They've got loads of worries about all these things, and then people banging on about, if you don't do well in your exams, you're going to fail at life.
Hey, shut up. Stop telling them that. So this is how you deal with this. Please fill out the questionnaire. These are all self-reported questionnaires that the doctor will ask you to fill out. Fill out this questionnaire just before you go to bed. How much of a hassle was this item for you today? And this is how you will score it. It's not just you take the score and you add it together.
No
You actually
idea
judge
they
these.
did.
Yeah. So it's not widely used, annoyingly, but it's interesting to be able to look at your own, you don't have to wait for a doctor to give it to you. You can get these things, and it doesn't just look at your hassles, it also looks at how many uplifts are you having,
Your
how many
glimmers.
good moments, because if you're having loads of good times and a bit of stress happens, it's way easier to deal with. You're like, oh, whatever, because life's good right now. So it's all right being like, oh, well, they only had 3 hassles. If they've got nothing good happening, they're going to seem huge. They're going to have a real toll on you. And there is so many things that you can look at.
To do this with the lad that we mentor.
It'd be really interesting.
Might help him as well with a bit of perspective.
I'm not too sure how to get him to stand still long enough to have a look at it. But I agree. It'd be really helpful to him.
I think this makes me think of, right? One of the things I try and explain to my students is that I have created a life that reflects what my support needs. And
you've identified your triggers and what you need.
Yeah.
And you've gone creatively problem solve.
Yeah. I don't want early traffic commutes, so I'm self-employed and I work a schedule that allows me to miss having to commute and sit in traffic jams. It's very rarely that it happens. Financial worries, I never wanted those, so I decided having kids would add way loads of extra stress financially. And I've reduced a lot of my financial worries. I'm not an extravagant person because, again, I don't want those financial worries and keeping up with Mr. Jones down the road or whatever in his big expensive car.
Screw Mr. Jones.
But it's like you can kind of start from this and then design your life around it almost. Like, these are the things that are going to cause stress. How can you create a life that then, because overall, like, don't get me wrong, I do get stressed and there's things that are stressful. But the things that I've had control over, I've made sure that I've created a life to reduce those.
100%. And I think understanding that you have, it might not be as free reigning, it might seem a little more constricted. The more you can aim towards that life for yourself, the more successful really feel like you're going to be. And I don't mean successful in like, oh, I've got this job and I got this. I mean successful in yourself, as in like, I feel good about me and the adult that I am.
Yeah.
Or the kid you are, if you're addressing your issues that young, go you.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, these daily hassles may seem insignificant individually, but when experienced repeatedly or in combination, they can contribute to overall stress levels and impact well-being. Assessing the frequency and perceived impact of these daily hassles can provide insights into an individual's stress levels and identify areas of intervention. If you can see like certain areas, it's all relationships, like what's going on there. Is it a communication problem? Is it an attachment problem? It's really like, I love these kinds of scales and I wish doctors would use it more.
It just gives you a place to start, doesn't it?
Exactly.
And I was listening to a podcast earlier that's a spirituality, witchcraft type podcast, and they were saying that the body responds better when there's a physical black and white thing to work toward. And I think that's what these scales do.
Yeah, I like
it's a bit like hard to, what is stress and what am I stressed over? And,
having these philosophical concept
Yeah,
kind of
it gives
bizarre.
us, and it gives, okay, process of elimination, you know, it's not these things, so what is it? And it's, I don't know, maybe it is a way forward because it just gives a bit of structure to it.
Oh, definitely. So both these scales, in summary, while both the SRRS and daily hassles provide valuable insights into an individual stress experience, they differ in scope, timing, relevance. The SRRS focuses on major life events and their long-term blah, blah, while daily hassles capture the ongoing day-to-day stresses. Depending on the research or clinical context, one or both messages might be appropriate. So it's not like one's better than the other.
Yeah,
Use
they're
them
both
together.
different, isn't they? So
Yeah,
why not use them both together?
100%. And that's my
I love
basically
that.
thing on stress.
So
Yeah, that was just a way of getting into it.
in terms of like wrapping up, I think, is there a trick to that you find immediately makes you feel less stressed? I know we've
Yep.
covered like healthy tactics as we've gone through, but
So in the moment, and you'll hear me bang on about it a lot, compassion. Adopt a compassion focus very quickly. A big stress for mine is other people. Trying to get an understanding of why that person acted that way, why they cut you up in traffic, why they,
taking it personally,
definitely.
the aggression for the people I find really stressful when I'm not
Yes.
being so aggressive.
Exactly. It's when you're doing it yourself, it's kind of hard. But you've ever been with someone and they're stressing, and you're kind of like, it's almost embarrassing. Like you don't know what you sound like right now. Like some of the stuff that's coming out, you'd be like, "What do you mean I'm not? You should be 3 cars down." Like, who are you? You're not entitled to be in front of everyone in this queue, but you get yourself into these moments where
Yeah.
you are saying these silly things.
So
And
compassion is in be kinder to yourself, like
so be kinder to yourself and have, that compassion is a three-way flow. Compassion from me to you, accepting it from you to me, but also accepting the compassion that I give to myself.
yeah. Long time I was very compassionate towards other people, but I wasn't being compassionate towards myself, and I wasn't accepting it from other people.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And you can kind of see how that will you start putting that onto other people. I don't know if you've ever like looked at an inanimate object or an animal or something and just placed human emotion on it. Where you're like, I can't walk
I
away
do
from
that
it.
all the time. I read recently, apparently it's a very common trait in autism. But I was like, for example, I used to leave my keys in the shed. You know, I had that little like writing, like it's like an office cum shed type thing in the back garden. And if my keys were in the door, I'd always leave them in the door so I didn't lose them. But if it started raining, I'd feel sorry for the keys getting wet and have to bring them in with me.
Right.
And I'd chat to them like, "Oh, sorry, I can't leave you out there in the rain. They're keys."
The link to autism is actually really interesting. I've not actually heard that. But the way that I see it is that you've lived a life where you don't feel your needs are being met and you place those onto
Okay.
inanimate objects. So the way that you feel for these things is the way you deeply feel for yourself.
Yeah,
So this
see,
idea of like one for me is I'll see an old person on their own. I'm like, oh, they're on their own. They're like, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, oh wait, you're lonely, bitch. That's how you
that's
feel.
how, yeah, you're placed your
Yeah, if you ever do that, go and speak to that person. Go and be like, hey, how's your life? Go and figure out that they are loving life, and it's just all your
that's
thing you put on
definite
them.
awareness again. Checking in with yourself. Am I putting those emotions on that object because I need to give myself all up? But mine definitely isn't. Mine's just because I'm weird. But like right from as long as I can remember, I've seen everything as having souls and emotions. And, you know, it's just. But like I say, for me, I just put it down to being neurodivergent.
Yeah, and I feel like there is a link because this neurodivergence gets missed, and it almost gets like your needs get missed.
Yeah.
So you become this advocacy for fairness, for justice, and also for like the treatment of others.
Yeah,
But
but
it
that's what
comes
it's good to
from.
check in on. Why am I feeling this way? You know, it always comes back to you internally. Why am I reacting the way that I'm reacting?
Oh god, yeah. And if you feel like that stress is coming from like an angry thing, like we say all the time, what is the underneath that anger? Why is it frustration? Is it hurt? Is it embarrassment? Is it
I've just made a video that I'll be sharing later on TikTok talking about my triggers and the way that you can use your triggers to your advantage. And so I will finish think I've like covered everything that I wanted to. I'm gonna look and be like, no, I didn't say all the things I
So
wanted to say.
you asked me what I do
Oh yeah.
to in the moment to kind of fix inaction when I'm stressed. What about you? I'll put the question back to you.
Well, I'd written a few things down, but a lot of the time it is that self-talk of saying, why are you getting stressed about this, and working backwards. So that, because a lot of the time then what I realize is it isn't worth that level of energy. So self-talk, definitely taking a few deep breaths.
You're going to be self-talking the whole time you're stressed. It's da internal monologue
Yeah.
if you've got one. You'll definitely hear yourself having a go at yourself. It's just about altering that language, the way that you're talking, the way that you're responding.
Fresh air.
Oh God, yeah. Love a
Getting
bit
some
of fresh air.
Even like going outside and looking up at the night sky, connecting to the ground, like, you know, taking your trainers off and actually putting your feet flat on the actual
Definitely. If you feel like your anxiety's going, there's that the senses, right? Something you can feel, something you can taste,
Yeah,
something you can touch,
that's a good
something you can
one.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I stir my cup of tea in the morning, I set my intentions for the day, which
Oh, I
I
love
found
that.
that has been really helpful. So the other morning I woke up feeling quite anxious, and I was like, as I was stirring my tea, I was like, I'm asking for the courage to face the barriers that are in my way today, and to find the strength that I need to face the things that I need to do to progress and move forward. And I felt really overwhelmed about my car needed booking at the garage. When am I going to do it? Blah blah blah. Just loads of like little things. By the end of the day, everything had fell into place. And I just think that setting that intention for this is what I'm asking for, this is what I'm going to do, and I don't know, deciding I'm going to have a positive, effective day.
Definitely
Doing a little
deciding,
ritual.
realizing you are worth that.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, it sounds like you've got ahead of it. First thing in the morning, you're stirring your tea, and you're like, before I've even experienced anything that's going to stress me out, I'm just going to step. Yeah, this is what's going to happen. And if it doesn't happen, I've had this lovely tea to start my day, and it's not started with stress.
For myself.
Getting ahead of those triggers, perfect. Such a good idea.
The trigger video that I'm going to be sharing later is to do with the fact that because some of my videos are starting to do well now, I am getting some real hateful comments. And when I look at them, it immediately triggers me. It sends my heart rate through the roof. It sends heat to my cheeks. And then I think, this is the key point. Then I think, why is that triggering me? This is an opportunity to heal something within.
Yeah, I wouldn't go delving into them just to try and test your strength. So.
More a case of. So
yeah,
comment earlier on today, and I'm not going to go into it because I want my content video to do the talking.
We'll all go and watch it.
Then I was like, okay, it's triggered me because it's hit on an insecurity about my appearance. Why is that? And it's like, what can I do about that? And it's like, well, what you can do is realize who you are and what you stand for.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can't change their opinion. You're not going to be able to control everybody's opinions, but you can control how you feel about yourself, and you can control how you respond to it. And you're triggered because you're a kind person. That wasn't a kind thing to say. So you're going to respond in kindness and add your kindness to the situation, not more. And, you know, like working through things like that for me allows me to turn triggers into opportunities. And I just think that has been like a massive, massive step forward for me the last few months, even.
The whole process, you've just administered your own CBT. That is all that cognitive behavioral that you said the change into. That is just literally changing perspective so that your behaviors and your thoughts adapt to the more realistic way. And being able to do that, it's just the functional analysis, you know, that, okay, so what? So what?
Yeah.
So what does that mean? So what does that mean? Down to that, like, oh, it's a core thing of mine of, I'm a little insecure about X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
Well, how can I build on that? How can I not let that affect the people around me? I'm telling you now, internet comments, just stay away from them. It's gonna be stuff's happening. How can you not? But yeah, that'll be the quickest like reason for you to be like, I'm out. Peace and love, guys.
But for me, remembering that you're giving them the power if you lose your temper or whatever is a real, because I'm a rebel anyway. So I'm like, no, I'm going to respond in a way that keeps the power within me, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like kind of empowering rather than.
You know what? I'm going to get ahead of the game. Before I get famous, I know I've got yellow teeth. I know I've got awful skin. I know I have forehead
Doing an
wrinkles.
Eminem.
It's like Gordon Ramsay up in here. I get that. There is nothing you can say in a comment section that I haven't already thought of myself.
No, isn't it? I think that's the annoying thing, is that I always want to answer, like, and knowing that they've just said it and then gone about their day. And that's the frustrating thing. You're like, oh, I'd love to bring them here and be like, so you're
Save them,
facing me now, yeah? Like, you know, why did you say that? And put them on this. It's the injustice.
save them up with the thumbnail included. I want to see your profile picture. I'm not blurring that. If you've got the audacity to say something super clever online, then we want to share it, don't we? And we'll
Yeah.
share it. And let's have a laugh at them. We can respond to them together while you have a laugh. That's
Yeah.
content.
And that again comes down to having those strong friendships, knowing that if I then tell my friends what these people have said, they're going to help me laugh it off and be like me.
You're gonna watch it and be like, do you know what? They were kind of right about your hair.
But that's partly these comments. I'm like, yeah, you're right. But the thing that's triggered me is the fact that they've been so mean as to say it. Do you see what I mean? But then it's like, yeah, but that's triggered you because you value kindness, and that's okay. It's valuing kindness.
Great. How do you put a compassion focus onto this? What makes you send that message? Because I would never send that message to someone.
Exactly. That's the other thing, isn't it?
How hurt are you? And then you just kind of look, there's all sorts that could be, that is definitely way worse in your life than it is
But
mine.
that's sending healing to you, mind soul.
And even that would make them be like,
They'll be like, I don't want anything off you. Well, you do need it. So
you're in my comment section, you need
Yeah.
summit from me, apparently.
Sorry she's late. She's been dealing with her youngest who's being Mardy.
King Arthur. Has he been getting his sword? What is it? Excalibur.
I think you will enjoy the episode when you get a chance to.
Yeah, feel free to chuck it a rewind and see if any of this is helpful for you. And to everyone else that's been watching,
Like and subscribe.
Please. I hope it's helped you. Like, subscribe.
Even if it's.
Yeah, even just like oh, they were kind of on the money, but like I prefer Joe Wicks. Just hit the like anyway. I get it. He's
Brilliant.
He's good looking. I give it.
Rock hard abs and jumping around like, come on, let's all do it. We can all do it.
I'm just not showing my abs yet. I don't want to make anyone feel bad.
Yeah.
Let's go. Wait, that's really soon. I shouldn't lie. I get my belly out and it's like, boop, boop, boop. They're in there somewhere. But yeah, I don't know about you, but after talking about stress and the way to deal with stress, the stress I've been feeling this week seems to have minimized.
Yeah.
So that talking with friends, supporting with friends, and hopefully this is what this community does for you.
Yeah.
I love this.
Last month was looking forward to hugging some more trees. I'm definitely be out there doing that again.
It was so good. Literally, the last U Club, someone learnt knitting, and it was Kat who was here last episode, and she sat there like
knitting away.
You can't believe how much further on this knitting has got. It's gone from like one line to like a full complete turtleneck or whatever it is. Just completely on it. It's so good. But yeah, your home skills, you master your own hobbies. Come and laugh, come and chat. Tea,
eat
coffee.
Cake.
Oh, the cake. Yeah. And it's just basically de-stressful of, chill time like this. So if you'd like to come along, send us a DM, or you can email us at adifferenthumandesign@gmail.com.
It's at podcast officialism.
What did I say?
A different. Yeah, it's a different podcast at gmail.com.
I'm about to say a different human design. Leave a comment, go for it. Yes, hugging trees. It's going to be there, hugging trees. Come hug some trees with us.
It actually really does make, if no one's tried that, you immediately feel the stress leave your body. It's amazing.
So true.
I want to see you all really hugging them trees.
Yeah, and if you can work upside down better on a tree, please send in those videos to see. We've taken up too much of your night already. We don't want to cause any more stress. We hope you have an awesome rest of your week. We may see you Friday. You're more than welcome to come and join us.
See you Friday.
It's in the chat. But until then, this is Lindsay.
And this is
We are a different human design.
and this is a different podcast.
We'll see you next week.
Good night.
Good night.
Why is it like this? Instead of hate, it should be love, we invite it. You don't agree, then you're the problem that we're fighting. Open up your mind.